Spoilers for and up to Season 4. Overlord Season 4 ends off with the Sorcerer Kingdom Ainz as the uncontested superpower of the New World, an unstoppable force expanding in all facets from economic to diplomatic to territorial. The Riestes Kingdom partly annihilated and partly conquered, the Baharuth Empire forced in terror into the safety of vassalage, and the slain theocracy having taken L after 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 L, with several more on the way.
That's a lot of damage!
With the new Overlord movie, you might be wondering where do we go forward from Season 4? And the answer is backwards, to before the destruction of the Riestes Kingdom. The new Overlord movie is effectively a prequel of the end of the anime. You see, each season of the anime is composed of general contents of 3 light novel books. Season 1 covers the Undead King, the Dark Warrior, and the Bloody Valkyrie. Season 2 covers the Lizard Man Heroes and the 2-part Men of the Kingdoms volumes. Season 3 covered the Invaders of the Great Tomb, the 2 Leaders, and the Caster of Destruction, although they presented Volume 8's contents before 7. Lastly is Season 4, which entails most of the contents of Volume 10, Ruler of Conspiracy, Volume 11, The Dwarven Craftsman, and Volume 14, The Witch of the Doomed Kingdom. Now if you're real quick, you may have noticed some funky math going on there. That's because before The Witch of the Doomed Kingdom is actually another 2-part volume called The Paladin of the Holy Kingdom. The pattern thus far being 3 volumes this season worked well early on, however, down the line the novels become much larger, demanding that some of the events and story are left out. Rather than break their pattern and cover 4 volumes, and rather than splitting the Holy Kingdom arc in 2, they chose to separate both volumes and go right to the fall of the Kingdom of Riestes.
What's that?
War were declared.
From here, I'm going to give you a visual demonstration of the rise of the Sorcerer Kingdom and detailing what the world looked like from Volume 1 to Volume 11, and the prologue of the Holy Kingdom. This isn't a full breakdown of the story content, just a summary of events relevant to the growth of the Sorcerer Kingdom.
Everybody got that? Good!
What would become the Sorcerer Kingdom began landlocked and surrounded by 3 relatively strong human nations. Starting by gaining a foothold of influence from the local village of Karne, as well as laying the groundwork for the Raven Black hero Momon in the nearby fortress city Rantel, they went expanding northward into the Tob Forest region, beginning with a false Nazareth being constructed, though it would end up as a supply depot and evacuation area. Under the guise of Momon, the soon-to-be Sorcerer King brought the wise King of the Forest into submission, removing one of the 3 great creatures that ruled Tob. Putting down the unsealed evil tree, they would go on to conquer the 5 tribes of lizardmen dwelling in the southern part of the Great Lake. Raiding the nearby capital of the Riestes Kingdom in a false flag situation under the guise of a demonic invasion, codenamed Operation Gehenna, they would additionally take control of the criminal underworld of the entire kingdom through the subjugation of the heads of the Eight Fingers organization.
Sometimes you come home and there's no one in. There are no lights on, no food ready, no telly, no one laughing, just you, on your own. You know, murderers and mad dog stuff. I'll tell you what I do. Bang!
Beat an old lady with a stick to get these cranberries.
This was followed by a period of consolidation of the Tob region. Following strife around Karne, Ainz began to investigate the 2 other great creatures of the forest, the Giant of the East and the Demon Stank of the West. The 2 had previously been at odds, unable to fully compete due to the risk of intervention of the Wise King. However, with the disappearance of the Wise King and the expansion of the Monument of Ruin, the 2 had come together to form an alliance to attack the monument. Soon after finding their base of operations, Ainz puts down the giant and gives his territory to the now subjugated demon snake. Around this time, one of his guardians traveled north of the Great Lake of Lizardmen and subjugated the tribes of toadmen living there. Before they had done that, however, they had manipulated a minor noble of the Baharuth Empire, who was out of favor with the Emperor, into sending a group of workers to survey and plunder a newly found mysterious ruin, that being the actual Great Tomb of Nazarick. This was orchestrated by the Imperial Court wizard Fluter Paradine, who had turned traitor after seeing the immeasurable magical ability of Ainz in his guise of Momon.
神よ、あなた様こそ第11回。伏してお願いいたします。私にあなた様の教えを与えてください。私は魔法の深淵を覗きたいのです。何卒、何卒。
Needless to say, those workers were wiped out with impunity, and they used the situation to reveal themselves and bring the Emperor to Nazarick under duress to show their power. The clever Emperor Jirkniv manages to broker an alliance with the soon-to-be Sorcerer King and back them in founding their nation. Initially, Emperor Jirkniv had intended to forego their annual war with the kingdom, as the demonic invasion had depleted the resources and manpower of the kingdom, which was the purpose of said annual wars.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
Now at the behest of the Sorcerer King, they stamped a demand for the handover of the border fortress city Rantel to the Sorcerer Kingdom on the grounds of an ancient territorial claim, though these claims are false and simply an excuse for Casus Belli.
It's free real estate.
This was the inciting incident leading to the Cat's Plains Massacre, the results of a horrific magic ritual that consumed the lives of over 170,000 humans and the morale of every nation that observed the battle.
It's a bridge. Just goes around the corner. Walking on, fighting side of me. It don't. It don't go down. No, it don't. Oh! Don't!
In this confrontation, the Riestes Kingdom fielded 245,000 levy soldiers, while the Baharuth Empire fielded 6 of their 8 legions, around 60,000 soldiers. Though they had much smaller numbers as per usual, the Imperial Knights had a great deal more training and experience than the farmer-peasant levies. Ainz then arrived with his forces, 500 Death Knights and warriors riding 500 Soul Eaters, significantly more than what was shown off in the anime. Easily enough to stomp the kingdom armies. However, at the request of the Emperor, the Sorcerer King would initiate the battle by using his most powerful spell, a strategic attempt to gauge the Sorcerer King's true power and show the world that they needed to unify to defeat him. Though the Emperor estimates several thousand will die from such a powerful spell, the actual number is 23 times higher. The super tier magic, likely unseen in the world since the time of the 8 Greed Kings, decimated the entire left wing of the kingdom's army, 70,000 dead in an instant, then summoning 5 Dark Young who continued to ravage the pitiable army, only halting when Ainz attempted to entice Gazif Stronov into his service, who in turn challenged and lost a duel against the Sorcerer King.
I'm not worried about it! I'm not worried about any of this! No, 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 no! Wait, 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 wait! Wait, 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 wait! Well, we're boned.
Why are you running? Why are you running? Halt! 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 Run for your life! I'll cover you!
And the best part of this plan is, no one can stop me. Not even...
It's time to do.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
3, 2, 1, go!
You came all this way just for that.
Rantel was handed over and annexed with due haste, becoming the capital of the newly established Sorcerer Kingdom. Additionally, the Sorcerer King accepted the rebels of Karne, village formerly into the Sorcerer Kingdom, who had been attacked by and subsequently defeated an attachment of the kingdom's main army led by Crown Prince Barbaro.
There were no survivors.
The slain theocracy was forced to declare neutrality in the conflict so as not to earn the ire of the Sorcerer King, though they believed conflict would be inevitable.
Now the main problem area is up here. All of this going on up here is what's causing me the most physical discomfort. It's like a visceral reaction of discontent coming from this area. This area is not good either. I hate this, but I'm mainly worried about this.
Thanks to the equipment of one of their Black Scripture members, Thousand Leagues Astrologer, they were able to get a fully detailed report of the battlefield and forces, with the massacre that followed. The immediate existential trauma of the astrologer further exemplifying how right they were not to offer the kingdom any assistance. Having lost his personal territory, his right-hand man, and likely his son, King Ramposa III's power declined and drastically shifted the balance of power in the kingdom into new factions that would eventually lead to the decimation of the whole kingdom. The Empire then made a desperate outreach to the slain theocracy for knowledge or aid, but was foiled by the inadvertent appearance of the Sorcerer King himself within the Imperial arena, forcing the Empire into a position of vassalage determined by the insightful Emperor Jirknev.
I'll walk out of this arena! No chance! Oh my!
Ainz Protocol! ありえない。そんなバカな。
I didn't do fucking shit! I didn't rig shit! I didn't fucking do this!
This world's fucking so fucked up.
まずいここから
ジルクニフルーンパーロードエルニクスと
Surprise, motherfucker!
起動
What you say?
I would request that you present your terms to us.
The Sorcerer King would then go on to aid and create diplomatic and economic ties with the Dwarven Kingdom of the Azerlesia Mountains, as well as subjugating the White Dragon Lords and the United Quagoa clans.
What a sweet little birdie. You want some food? Want some...
Ah, you fucking seagull bitch!
Ah, lousy stinking ripoff.
Well, hot diggity dog. This place is magnificent.
Whatever it is, I'm willing to put wave after wave of men at your disposal. Right, men?
You suck!
So you have chosen death.
Moving forward, the Sorcerer Kingdom would lease undead workers to the Dwarven Kingdom for mining and defense, and use this model as a basis to create a friendly and supportive relationship with the Draconic Kingdom to the southeast, who was being plagued by incursions of beastmen. The Sorcerer Kingdom would go on to supplanting the slain theocracy as their defensive backer. And this brings us to the Paladin of the Holy Kingdom.
Stop right there, criminal scum!
Round 1.
Your heart fitted indeed, being a pirate is a rented me!
Nom 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 nom. Round 2.
Nom nom.
アリス、 Flawless victory.
All the while that the Sorcerer Kingdom was laying the groundwork for its intelligence and expansion, there was a secondary force working for their benefit, although the reality of the situation and the inhumane cruelty was unbeknownst to the wise Sorcerer King.
I mean, come on. I know you. You know you. And I know you know that I know you.
I understand nothing.
So forth was born a region of immense cruelty and suffering. In the future, it would be known as the Demihuman Alliance, although in truth, it was more of a demon empire. But in its current state, it was simply Demiurge's Ranch. Beginning as a humble source of experimentation and resource acquisition, it would grow into an evil empire that made the demonic invasion of the kingdom look like a pillow fight. To go into the depths of their heinous deeds would probably need its own video, as well as a disclaimer warning for queasy viewers, but at its core, this ranch was a production facility for magic scrolls, the base materials being the flayed skins of kidnapped citizens of the nearby Holy Kingdom. They would also make breeding pens to guarantee a healthy supply of subjects.
And what a surprise! Look who's scraping up the filth! Is it a human child? I wish!
All this fathomless cruelty would only grow and spread as the persona of Jaldabaoth took shape from the demonic invasion of the Riestes kingdom.
Where's my bug spray? I forgot my bug spray! I forgot my bug spray!
Fuck it.
I did what I did. You don't like it, you can kiss my ass.
We're not gonna talk about Marmon.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude!
Unbeknownst to the human kingdoms, this newly appeared demon emperor was based in the Abalian Hills and used this persona to subjugate the many tribes of demihumans there. 18 demihuman species of varying size and temperament would slowly come under the heel of the Demon King. Some out of the arousal for his power and might, others in a desperate attempt to save themselves from the demon's cruelty. With the request for the use of a doppelganger from Nazarick, all would come to a head at the end of Volume 11's Dwarven Craftsman arc, where the Sorcerer King Ainz authorizes Demiurge to begin operations in the Holy Kingdom.
Too extreme when I first called for the annihilation of the human species, but after living on Earth, I can tell you that I am, if anything, too merciful.
What did he say?
I don't know, something about being gay.
You can't catch me, gay thoughts.
Oh wait, you're serious? Let me laugh even harder.
第11回魔法メテオフォール
It's alright, kid. I'll take it from here.
Okay, knock yourself out.
Why are you saying it like that?
How'd that get in there?
What the fuck did you say?
compare your lives to mine and then kill yourselves. Kill yourselves. I love stealing. I love taking things. That was the first little annoyance. Am I right, men?
If any of you need anything at all, too bad. Deal with your problems yourselves like adults.
Please disperse. Nothing to see here.
Soon we'll be able to look back on this and laugh.
Thanks for watching. This took way longer than it should have. Oof.
My God! What a masterpiece!
And happy.